tips and strategies about resumes. Okay, let me minimize this distraction for me. Okay, perfect. So I think it goes without saying to say that resumes are one critical part to getting or landing a job, especially here in Canada. Virtually all of us as immigrants are highly educated. So if you look at the pool of Nigerians coming here through express entry, you know that it's the best of the best. It's not like,
yes, definitely.
So that goes to show that competition is fierce. So you are not competing with folks that you'll be like, oh, you know what, this one I can easily dust, you know, if you have to compete. So competition is fierce. There's no need to say, I mean, to argue over that. So resume is that poster of yours to employers to say, hey, take a look at me. I've got all that you need for this role. I am the best candidate for this role. Why you can do all the talking if you are being invited to an interview, unfortunately, the first part of getting the job involves you sending in your resume, and resume don't have a mouth to talk. They will do the talking for you based on what you had written down, but you are not there to say, hey, I actually meant this, or you know what, this is what I was trying to communicate. You won't be there when somebody is reviewing your resume, thinking, should I ask this fellow to come for an interview or not? And so we must put in all that we can to ensure that the resume speaks very loudly on our behalf and speaks to our competencies, especially as it relates to the job at hand. I think one of the concerns that I have seen, or one of the mistakes that I have seen a lot of Nigerians, you know, do is, you know, they present so much in their resume, but it's not targeted. So you have so much information on your resume, however, it's not speaking to the job at hand. So the resume is the first point of interaction between yourself and the employer. And so you need to spend quality time to getting it done right. So let's move on. No need to waste time. How do you write a good resume? I'll provide a few tips. I think I have about 4 or 5 steps here. One is you want to have 2 sets of resumes. Okay. The first one is a master resume, where you want to dump in all your skills, all your experience, all the accomplishments, everything that you think of it as a typical Nigerian CV, you know, where you have virtually everything that you can think of. So your master resume usually will be 3, 4, 5 pages long, especially if you have many years of experience. Okay. So you want to make it as comprehensive as possible. When you have additional experience or a new qualification or something like that, you include it to your master resume. So your master resume is like the reservoir of all the skills and experience that you have. That is not the resume that you submit. You know, I've had somebody send me a 6-pager resume before. That is no longer a resume. That is a CV if you want to, you know. And oftentimes, recruiters don't have the time to be reading a mini booklet. Because by the time you are sending a 6-pager to someone, that's no longer a what you will call, I think it's better to call that a booklet, right? So nobody has the time to go through all of that. So you must tease out especially what you need. And that takes us to the second step, which is to tailor your resume for each job. So people hear of targeting, target your resume, target your resume, target your resume. Targeting your resume speaks to the fact that when you have a job at hand that you need to apply to, you want your resume to be so tailored to be reflective of the requirements in that job posting. Okay. You want your resume to be reflective of that. You don't want your resume to be overwhelmed with so many other competencies, experience. Yes, you have it, but as long as they are not related to the job, is crowding the space or is making your resume look less, interesting, because they are seeing, the employers or recruiters are seeing other roles, other experiences that are not readily related to the role. Okay, so that's, I think Josephine has joined us. Welcome, Jules. Okay, so tailor your resume. Make your resume stand out so that employers can, spot it. Put yourself in the shoes of recruiters, put yourself in the shoes of employers. For each job posting, people receive as much as 2,000, 3,000 responses. And if you are to go through that, you don't have the time to spend and sit down and flip to page 1 and flip to page 2 and be thinking for the applicant, oh, this is what this applicant is trying to say. No, just put yourself in the shoe of employer. I have a friend who got a job with an organization, and when, after spending about a year with them, he got to know what went behind the scene during his own recruitment process. So just like I have said, if you put yourself in the shoe of a recruiter trying to filter through 2,000 responses from from applicants just for one position advertised for, do you think this individual, the recruiter, will have the time to be looking at your resume to try to make a sense out of it? No, they don't have the time. I won't have the time, to do that for anybody. I mean, if I have 3,000, I'm sure I will be able to find 10 or 15 individuals that will have done a good job. Okay, so that is the perspective that I want to encourage as many people as possible to do. Put yourself in their shoes, somebody who is trying to rummage through a 15-page, a 3,000 page, 2-page document. So that's a lot. One other thing is learn as much about the organization, okay? I can't overemphasize the role of networking, but that is not the point for our conversation today. But you need to know about the industry. And one of the ways by which you can know about the industry and it will help you to improve your resume is go on LinkedIn, for instance. If you are looking for a CRC role or you are looking for a CRA role, try and print or copy 5, 6 different job posting for CRC or for CRA. Then take your time and read through this. Find the keywords that are common across these 4, 5, 6, 7 job posting that you've gotten. You will see denominators. Denominators are common experience or skills that the employers are asking for. Different employers, 5 different employers, you will see common denominators. Oh, they must be able to do this. You must know how to do this. Those skills are critical. If you have an highlighter, highlight them. If you whatever, just take note of these, denominators. That is one way by which you get to know the industry. If you look at it and you feel like you are not confident or you don't have a competence in 1 or 2 of some of the core industry requirements, then that is time for you to get back to, YouTube, online courses, free, a lot of free educational resources or training resources out there. So the point is, you don't want to be an alien. You don't want to be a stranger to the industry that you are trying to break into. So research and get to know what are the basic requirements to succeed in this industry or to at least break into that industry. Okay. Having done that, you then need to identify your most relevant skills. I'm not saying identify any skill. Relevant skills. Relevant in the sense that if the job posting is asking for someone that can probably administer and inform consent, then you need to note that somewhere to say, hey, I've got this skill, and project it in your resume. Okay, I'll show you exactly how to do that in a couple of slides from now. So let's make progress. All right. Step 3, choose the right word to attract attention. I can't overemphasize this. You need to be, just go back to you thinking that, hey, my resume is going to be 1 out of 3,000 that the recruiter is going to go through. Once you put yourself in that frame that my resume is not just the only one that the recruiter is going to find in his or her mailbox, it's probably going to be 1 out of 1,000. So if it's going to be 1 out of 1,000, applicant, how can I stand out? Exactly, that's the question. How can I stand out? Okay. So 1, study the job posting carefully. Like I said before, know exactly how you fit into the role and try as much as possible to use keywords and phrases. By no means am I suggesting you copying the whole job functions or responsibility and dumping it on your resume. No. But of course, there are keywords, there are industry lingua, there are terminologies. You want to use them instead of using yours. Okay. Forget about the fact that you like that very keyword of yours. It describes you very well. No. Let your keywords be the one that the employer or that the recruiter is familiar with. Okay. So you want to get yourself to be noticed. And we get to notice when we see folks who are speaking our language. Mm-hmm. So imagine yourself in Costco or Superstore or one of the big malls around, and then, somewhere on the other side of the aisle is just speaking your language. Somebody is just busting out talking in Yoruba or in Igbo, or, so, there is a way you look around to say, hey, oh, that's a Nigerian there, or, oh, that's somebody that is from, my tribe or my whatever. Okay, so you just want to do something that will probably bring you out of the crowd. Okay. List your strongest qualification for the job near the top. So let's use an example. Example is, okay, you have this experience in 2015. You work with this as a CR. You work with in a role that is probably, closer to being a CRA or CRC or whatever. Now, you left that position in 2016 or 2015, and then you've since gone in to do some other, you've gone into another industry entirely. What you want to do for your resume is to bring under work experience, is to bring that experience of 2015 that is closest as the number 1. And if you have other experiences that are related to the role, you want to bring them under, in reverse chronology. And then you want to create another subsection under experience or work experience. You want to create another subsection and you call it other work experience. Okay. And then you put out those experience or those jobs that are not so related to the one that you are applying for. What that does is help the recruiter to see the most, not the most recent. So it's not like, oh, this is 2021 job. No, but the most, how will I put it? The closest, the experience that you have that speaks to the job at hand. Okay. So that's another thing. And of course, please avoid repetition. Don't say the same thing in 3 or 4 ways. You've said it and it is clear enough. And especially, okay, I think we'll get there. Don't let me, but please take note of this, avoid repetition. If you take a look at your resume now, probably you will see the same word that you are using over and over again, like maybe ensure something is done. Or maybe you are the one that is always using manage this, manage that. And then you look at all the bullet points under your roles. Out of 5 or 6 bullet points there, you have managing 4 or 5. Avoid repetition. Okay. Yes, make your resume look what? Professional. Make your resume look professional. I can't overemphasize this. making your resume look professional. What are the things that you do? We'll see a couple of examples to make your resume look professional. You want your name to be on top. You want it to be as bold as possible. The rule of thumb is to keep your resume at least 2 points bigger than every other type point on the page. Okay, so put your phone number, your address. By address, I mean the city where you live and the province. I've seen people put in all their postal code and home address, so 58 XYZ Street, something. No, please. Yeah, we live in Canada, but you don't know where that resume will end up. So don't expose yourself to unnecessary security risk. And by the way, nobody requests for that. Have you seen any job posting where they say put your home address? Okay. The only reason you want to put your city and your province is for employer to at least know that, oh, you probably available for this on-site role. Okay. Oh, you are a Canadian, something like that. Beyond that, you don't need to put your detailed home address. Yeah, it's unnecessary. Just put your city, Mississauga, Ontario, Edmonton, Alberta, Calgary, Alberta, Vancouver, British Columbia. Just put something like that, and that's all that is needed. Keep your resume as simple and short as possible. I mentioned I've seen 6-pager before. I've seen 8-pager before. No, it's going to trash. I can assure you of that. Immediately, it's going to trash. Keep it as simple as possible. Hey, I've got 20 years of work experience. Okay, if you've got that amount of years of experience, the rule of thumb is to truncate your experience at 10 years. 10 years. We're in 2022 now. Keep your experience that is, oldest at about 2012. That is it. Whatever experience that is beyond that, please take it out of your resume. Okay, you are saying, oh, yeah, but that experience of 2008 that I have is actually related to this role. Yeah, the problem with that is employer will view your experience of 2008 compared to now as still. You can mention that, but it is very unlikely that someone will consider an experience of 2008 as very relevant. So the rule of thumb again is to truncate your experience at 10 years so you can at least manage to keep your resume at about 2-pager long. Okay. So I've seen people, because they want to keep it at 2 pages, oh, I have so much that I need to bring into my resume. They now use very narrow margins on the side. It's like even if you are holding the piece of paper, by the time you are holding the paper, you need to hold it on the edge like this for you to be able to read anything there. They use all the margins. No, that is a total no. I mean, back home, we all know that even for what's it called, exercise book, you have that margin on the left where they rule and say do not write, or probably in the universities, it is there for a reason. The eyes are trained, our eyes as human beings are trained to look at the middle and read stuff. When you crowd your resume so much that there is barely a margin on both sides, it doesn't look good, and I'm sure nobody wants to strain their eye to read that. Of course, remember, you are 1 out of 1,000 applying. So don't put yourself at the advantage by being miserly with margin. Use decent margin, okay? And as much as possible, let there be a lot of white space. We'll see a couple of examples shortly. Now, use bold text to highlight special information, achievement, and all of those ones. And then don't submit your, I mean, it looks funny, but please don't submit your resume as a picture. I've seen people, for one reason or the other, save their resume in PDF and copy the PDF and paste it. Anyway, just leave your resume in Word or in PDF format. Well, there is divided opinion as to which one is the best. So some people will say use a PDF. Some folks will say no, use Word. For me, it's whichever one you feel comfortable with. Word document can get jumbo mumbled, so I prefer PDF. That is just a personal preference. But beyond that, you can keep your resume in either of the two file formats. Okay, so enough of the talk. Let's take a look at a few examples and see exactly how that is all about. So now, look at what we have on the screen. Susan Hong, okay. For us as Nigerians, we particularly have long names. Oluwatunwamishe, Adara, something, something, and then it's 30 characters long. We are Nigerians, nobody will take that away from us. Your name is your name, is your heritage, nobody will take that from us, and you are proud of it. However, you also want to be mindful of the environment that we have. So if you are comfortable to shorten your name, please do. If you, I don't belong to the school of thought of changing your name to an English sounding name. Or okay, well, if your name, you have an English name and you are comfortable with it, yeah, perfect. Go ahead. But I belong to the school of thought that I'll just keep my name as simple as possible, so the recruiter feel a little bit, you are not overwhelming the recruiter as to whether they want to mispronounce your name, because I tell you, they don't also want to offend you. Okay, so don't block your chances because somebody is trying not to offend you, So why not keep your name simple? My full name is Olufemi, okay? So I just put my name as Femi. The fact that Olu is not there is not going to take anything away from me, okay? And I have seen I've seen so many other people even totally use aliases on their resume. This is very common among the Chinese. You will see a Chinese guy that is bearing, God knows how to pronounce their name, right? We know Chinese, so it's not like, but then you find that on their resume, they just put Frank, John, Mark, something like that. Yes. So it is allowed for you to use an alias on your resume, because the most important thing is at the end of the day, by the time you have that job and they are taking your full detail for administrative purpose, they are going to get your real name, and you can actually tell them, I prefer to be called this. So even though your documentation will show everything, which is your correct name, but if you prefer to be called another name, the organization usually will note it and call you that. In fact, your letter of employment will bear the name that you prefer to be called. There is no ambiguity around that, okay? So, but I'm just saying, some people do that. If you don't want to go to that extreme, please just use a small form of your name, so that that step, bias is real. So let's be real with ourselves. Don't pretend, hey, what is he saying? No. Please, there is bias and we are here to win, okay? So you want to, as much as possible, do all that is within your power to limit the bias that you are exposed to by just making your name a bit pronounceable, okay? So this is the example that I mentioned earlier on, okay? So what I need on your nameplate is your phone number, followed by your email address, and followed by your, city and province. Simple. If you have a LinkedIn profile and you want to include it, yes, you can do something like this. Include your LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, your phone number, your email address, and your location is what is required. By the way, let's talk about email address. If you need to open another email, please do. Your email address should not be shakingbombom@yahoo.com or gmail.com, please. Or I'm yellow pawpaw, all of those emails that we open when we probably just having fun, that will not speak very good of us. So keep your email address very professional. Like I said, if you need to open another one, email clients are they are free, just grab one. And what you can do again is, I have this email that I use. If I open another one, I'm going to be in trouble to remember to check it. What you can do is, in the new email address, do a forwarding setup. So you go to the new email address, go into the setting, and select the setting that will always forward the email from your mailbox, say XYZ that you have just opened, to your old email address that you are used to. Let's say it is abc@yahoo.com. So that way, the employer is seeing the new email address, but you are getting the mail in both email addresses. You will get it in your new one, which you probably don't often visit. But because you will get a copy in your whole email address, you don't miss anything, okay? I don't want you to open a new email address and not check your box for 2 weeks, only to discover that you've been invited for an interview last week, okay? So if you are at all opening a new email, ensure that you put in a forwarding setting so that you can get the email in the whole box until you get used to the new email address, okay? Then for professional summary or something that you have right under your nameplate, my advice is always to keep it to about 4 lines, So you see 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one of the things you want to do is you don't want to overwhelm the reader or the recruiter with so much information at a go. You want to bring in the best 5 or 6 points about yourself. 4, 5, not more than 6. I'll probably advise that you keep it at about 5-pointer. Okay. Very, very, how will I put it? Most important information about you, your professional you, and the role that you are competing for, the role that you are targeting, okay? This is not the zone to be putting highly organized individual, team player, and all of those cliché. Please save that for somewhere else in your resume, if at all you want to put it there. This is where you want to bring the best of the experience and the skills that you have that is related to the job that you are applying for. By the way, have you seen anybody put highly disorganized on their resume? So why is it that we always want to put that right on top? Please don't waste the goodwill and the real estate that you have for your resume to be putting soft skills, okay? Soft skills. So this is it, something like, okay, maybe your question then is, look at the example that you are showing us. Now let's go back. Yep. Look at the example that you are showing us. It's saying skilled in creative problem solving, training. Look at this. You will see the way this is woven into the job. This person is talking about being creative. He's talking about having experience in training. This is customer facing. So this is not saying, hey, I am a team player. This is not saying, hey, I'm highly organized. This is not saying what other things. We have this list of, I think maybe one of the examples that I have down the line. Our time is fast spent. I barely have 20 minutes and I need to save time for questions. Okay, so let's move on. All right, core competencies. Okay, so once you go past your nameplate, you go past your professional, what is it called? What is this? Professional summary. What's good for your professional summary? Some people will put it as executive summary or whatever. Okay, then you probably want to do what is called core competencies or say relevant skills, whichever one you put it. Now, our advice that you keep your point one-liner, which means just a single line. However, if you are unable to keep it at one-liner, keep it at 1.5 lines, something like this, not stopping here. Don't do very long lines at 2-liners. So which means you will use challenging health regimen in our blah, 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 and then you have a full stop here. Keep your sentences short. there is nothing that you want to write that you cannot break down into 2 or 3 short sentences. So instead of saying, hey, oh, this description, it is 3-liner. No, 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 no. We are not doing 3-liners. We are doing 1-liner. 1-liner, simple, straightforward. Okay. Take a look at the example below. 5 years of experience in this industry, background in XYZ. Straight to the point. Boosted company sales by 30% within 2 years. I am very experienced in XYZ. Simple. The recruiter is seeing something that is appetizing, something that is good enough to say, hey, I'm going to think, or I'm going to put this CV on this side, which is I'm keeping it instead of trashing it. That is what you want to do, especially in the upper third of your resume. So when you have your resume, take a look at it. Your eyes will go, if you are handed a new sheet of paper, a document, you don't start reading the document from the bottom. No, that is not what you do. What you do when you have a document before you is your eyes will go straight to the upper third of that document. That is where you have your name. That is where you have your professional summary. That is where you have your competencies, okay? Or highlight of your qualification. I don't particularly like the title highlight of your qualification, so I won't advise that you use this, but look at the bullet that you have on that. 5 bullet points, straight to the point, and very loaded, very loaded. Look at bullet point number 2, speaks to the experience and the skills that you have. It's not talking about too many things. 3 critical skills that is related to the job. Okay, let's make progress. All right, so now you want to talk about your work experience. So you want to talk about your work experience, and let's take a look at the word that is starting all of these bullet points: set up, utilized, analyzed, identified, managed, supervised, verified, reported. Just take a look. You will see clearly one thing. One is, these are action words. So this is not something like assist XYZ. This is what you've done. Hone it. Okay? Even if you have assisted somebody, don't present it as assist XYZ. Yes, we know you are assisting XYZ, but what is it that your assistant actually meant? What is the meaning? Okay, so put it there. If you assist somebody to, let's say you assist somebody to, how will I say, okay, somebody asks you, hey, please, can you help me to grab something from, from the mall? So instead of saying assisted XYZ to buy something from the mall, why not just put it and say bought XYZ from the mall? Yes, you bought it. The fact that you are actually buying it on the instruction of somebody else is not matter, right? It's not as important as the fact that you know how to do it and you've done it before. Okay, so action word. Again, look at the example. You will see that they are all 1-liner. They are not telling too many stories. I can decide to write these 4 bullet points as one sentence, and then it become a 2 or 3 lines long. However, when you break it down into single liners, there is a way the eye is able to see the core thing that you are trying to pass across. Your experiences are teased out. They are laid out to the reader without any ambiguity. Okay, we don't have all the time in the world. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I think, 2 or 3 examples of JD. Yes, here. Okay, before we get there, these are other examples. Take a look at this one: professional experience. Again, see, you have the role, you have the year, and then you have the company or your employer. Okay, I would advise that you don't need to put the country. So I'm an electrical engineer. I work with whatever company I worked with previously in Nigeria. On my resume, I'm going to put electrical engineer. I'm going to put the year, 2010 to 2015, something like that. And then I'm going to put the name of my employer. I'm not going to put Nigeria. I don't want prejudice. So I'm going to leave it out. I'm just going to put, whatever, Parallax Engineering Limited, PAM. When I get to the interview, Then they can ask me, oh, is parallax in Canada? Then I tell them, oh, parallax is actually in Nigeria. Okay. You are at the interview already. You can talk for yourself. You can say so many things that will overshadow the fact that the experience is in Nigeria. But before the recruiter that you don't have a mouth to defend yourself, I will be silent about whether the experience is in Nigeria or not. Okay. But if I have an experience in Canada, maybe I want to flaunt it. So I want to put that in. I just don't want to put, if you work with multinational, yeah, okay. But again, there's no need to put, oh yes, this experience is from Nigeria, 45. Okay, so again, you will see the difference between the first example and this example. This is two liners often. So compare these with these. Okay, two liners, but again, we are keeping it at about 1.5 line. Really, we are not bringing it to the end right here. That's one. Second is, look at this: conducted, designed, supervised, developed, action what? Action words, okay? Created, employed, strong communication, maintained, okay? Action words. Okay, let's move on. So I'm going to share just these 3 examples. Take a moment, look at these JD. There are 3 of them. This is number 1. I'm going to share 3. Please, at the end of it, I'm going to ask you the one that you kind of like the most. There is no right or wrong answer, so 2 more, 3 seconds. Just take a look at these. And then I'm going to flip. This is the second one. Okay. And this is the third one. All right. So let me go back again. Then I'm going to ask you to show me or to tell me your preference. So we'll start from Olawumi. I think you start from you, and then Josephine and Kemi. Do we have any other? I think that's all. So JD1, JD2, and then JD3. You tell me the one that you like the most, and then you tell me just a ranking. So something like, oh, my top choice is JDX, and then the least for me is JD's, Y. So we all know that the other one apparently is the middle choice for you. Okay, Wumi, please, can you share your thoughts with us?
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, can I see the JDs again?
Okay, so this is 1. And then this is 2.
Okay.
And then this is 3.
Okay, and I think I like the one better. Like it's not too comprehensive, it's compressed, and it's not like it's shouting on the, and it's clear. Yeah.
Okay, so number 1 is your top choice. So then which
Yeah.
one is your least?
I think 2 is the least.
Okay, 2 is the least. All right. So
too much. There's a lot going on there.
Okay, so I'll just take it down, and then I hope you have not biased the other.
No.
So we have JD1 for you, and followed by JD2 as being the least. Okay, Josephine, your turn. Wumi, please remember to mute yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you. Josephine, are you there? Josephine is not there.
Yes, okay. Sorry, my background is really noisy.
Okay, we manage it. Okay, so JD1, JD2, JD3, which one is your top choice and which one is your bottom choice?
I prefer JD1.
You also will go with 1?
Yes, and sorry, can I see 2?
This is 2.
And
it is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. 2.
I prefer 1, but 2 seems to be too crowded, sort of.
Okay. Okay. So are you going for 2 as the least? Or are you going
Yes,
for
I'll go
3?
for 2 as the least.
Okay. Thank you. Kemi, your turn. Kemi, are you there?
Okay, I am. Sorry.
Okay.
I prefer JD3 and then JD2 is the least for me.
3, 2. These 2 is 3 over 3. All of you kind of chose JD2 as the least, well, attractive or whatever you want to call it. So is, your preference is lowest on the scale. Okay. So let me quickly point out a few things. Like I said, no one is right or wrong, but then maybe I'll confirm some of your assumptions. Clearly, you see that JD1 is kind of attractive. You just feel like, oh, I like this, line, single liner, often, except, bullet point number 5. Okay. So the single liners and all of that. JD2 will appear crowded because, again, we have more points. And that speaks to one thing. Don't overwhelm the recruiter. There is always, so options are always unlimited. Today, if I ask you to give me a list of 10 songs, right? You will come up with 10 songs. Oh, I like this. Oh, this is my favorite. But then when I push you further and say, you know what, I actually need you to give me 5, what will you do? Right then, you will trash a few of them away and say, oh, no. You will trash a few. You may then end up with 7 or 6, and you are now trying to say, oh, which one should I take out? Which one should I take? But I can assure you that you will be able to take out 3 without even batting an high lead. It's always like that. When it comes to JD also, instead of overwhelming the recruiter with so much, again, if you have done your job of knowing the industry, then you should be able to keep it to as minimum as possible. By no means am I saying trash your experience that that is related to the role. No. But again, look at this job description. Looks like it's overwhelming. Okay. Now, for JD3, Kemi seems to like JD3 ahead of JD2, and that's okay. All right. So between JD3 and JD1, the difference is in the fact that JD1 used single liner all through, while JD2 used double liner all through. Now, because you are using double liner, it appears to be crowded a little bit. Okay. It appears to be crowded. So the point I'm making is try as much as possible to stay on a single liner. However, if you are unable, because you will write something and then only one letter else will allow you to break into 2 words, into 2 lines. This example is it now archiving. You may be typing and then only NG is just going to break this word, this sentence into 2 lines. Yes. So you can do a mixture of single line, and double line. But when you do double liner all through, there is a way to look crowded, okay? And when you do single liner all through, yeah, that's fine. But we don't always have the luxury of keeping all our sentences as single line. Maybe the thought will not make sense if you keep it as single line. You need to keep it at 2 lines. So go ahead, but don't make an habit of keeping everything that you are describing under your job description as 2 liners. Okay, a few action words, and action word to highlight success, accomplished, improved. Remember at the beginning we talked about the fact that no repetition. Don't use the same word over and over and over again. Try to be generous with your words, okay? Achieved, increased, raised. For communication, you have words like collaborated, developed, proposed, designed, persuaded, for showing that you are highly organized folk. Talk about the fact that you investigated something, you reviewed something, you monitored something, you expedited something. Those are the word that tells people that you are organized, not by actually putting highly organized in your resume. No, it is some of these words that we use that speaks to whether we are highly organized or not. So those are just examples. Well, you can take a screen grab. I think this will be shared. I'm not so sure, but then I know it is recorded, so you can always refer to it again. All right, thank you so very much. Our time is fast spent, but I'm going to take questions. And okay, so the floor is open. If you got any questions, please shoot your questions. Any question, please?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask that, is there a specific font that is required, or you can just go with anyone?
Keep your fonts. I think if you, I don't want to, okay, so clearly you can use Calibri, you can, some people don't like Times New Roman, okay. I use Georgia.
Okay.
I use Geisha. So there is what is called sans serif font and serif font. So you don't want to use cursive font that will look like handwriting or you are styling. No. Just use, typical font that you will see in publications. If you open a textbook now, they're not going to be using font that you will be looking at, okay, is this T or what, So use for non-cursive font. So the examples that I give, those are the ones that I use, not because they are the best or anything, but I'm just using them. So you can, again, what I do is this. So sometimes I use a font and my resume is going to get into 3-page and I don't want it. Then I change it to another font. So you will notice that Times New Roman compared to Area or compared to Calibri, if you use the same size, say size 11, they have different weights, okay?
Yes.
So I play around using different fonts because, again, I don't want my resume to go beyond 2-pager. So if I have a tough time, then I'm going to use a font that has the least weight. So which means it will actually look as if the font is a bit tinier, smaller, so that I will end up in the 2-pager that I want to keep my resume, okay?
Okay.
So,
and is there a specific font size number that we can use?
Yeah, I'll say you keep it at about 11 being the minimum. You don't want, you don't want it to be so tiny that they are trying to read what you are writing again, okay? 11. Okay. Some font size are actually small. If you use such, font size, you will see that the 11 is like 12 of another one. Okay, so you can use 12, but don't use 12, for instance, of Times New Times Roman. New Times Roman is a big font. So if you are using 11, would be okay for that, okay? So I think that's it. 11, 12, if it is a tinier font. This is how you can do it. Just write a sentence, maybe my name is XYZ. I like you copy any random stuff anywhere. Paste it on a clean Word document. Use the font size, say Times New Roman 11. Paste the same thing under it. Your course allow just a line of space. Change it from New Times Roman or Times New Roman. Change it to another font, the same 11. Paste it under. So on a sheet, you are able to see 3 different fonts of the same text.
Okay.
And that gives you an idea of, oh, is this taking too much of space? Or is this looking good? You will see it right on one page. You can print it out if you feel you actually want. So with that, you will be able to adjust and say, okay, I think I prefer this font size. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Another question. I'm here, this is 3 of you, so you can actually, enjoy your time with me and ask me any other thing that you feel like you want to clarify, or maybe I didn't speak about it. You just want an answer. I can share my opinion or advice with you. Femi?
Yes, did you mention where education and certification should fall?
Okay,
in the
thank you.
CV?
Yep. So let me see if I can quickly share. Stop share. Let me see if I can share something with you. Okay, I think this would go. Share this. Usually I prefer it to be at the back. Where is it again? Okay, I think this is it. Share this. Okay, so, all right. Oh, I thought I was, I thought I was on the PowerPoint. I was expecting the, oh, where is it? Oh, all right. So there's a pager anyway. So you have your nameplate, you have your phone number and all of that. You have your professional summary, you have your relevant skills, followed by your work experience, okay, followed by your education, okay? So education comes after the experience. I wanted to say something about education also. So let's assume, I don't want to be, to judge anyone, and by no means am I doing that. But let's assume your first degree is in year 2000. Okay. I would advise that you put only your qualification and probably your university and omit the year. I can tell you that most of the recruiters that you are dealing with, they are probably toddlers in year 2000. So again, we want to avoid bias. Okay. So I just need to put that there, that if you feel like, hey, I'm going to look like ancient of days, there is no rule that says you must put the year of your qualification. Put your qualification, put the university, and when you get to the interview, they will deal with that. And oftentimes people don't even care about the year that you graduated from. So I don't think that is a priority on the list of questions at the interview, to say, hey, by the way, which year did you finish from XYZ university? That will only happen if the interviewer is alumni of that school and is just interested in being in you, and just trying to be friendly. That's all. So education will come here, and then training and certification will follow. Again, don't overwhelm them. Nigerians are known to have a lot of certifications or a lot of trainings and those things. As much as possible, if a role is requesting for a first degree, put a first degree there. Don't go and put your master's degree. Virtually all of us has master's degree. Canada is not an environment where you oppress people or where you show that you've got a lot of education. Sometimes they don't want to employ you because they feel you are overqualified for the role. Please, if you are trying to get an entry-level role, don't put in, don't use sledgehammer to kill a mosquito or to kill a rat, to kill a cockroach, okay? Just put in your bachelor's and that will be fine. Trainings and certification, you have 15 of such, you have taken one every quarter, and then so you have this long list. Why not prune it to manageable 5 or thereabout, especially that are related to the role that you are applying? Okay. So, Joe, I think you are the next, so I want you to also speak. Come up with one question so I can let you go. Or look at your resume and just tell me something that you were like, oh, maybe I should ask this or anything. I mean, you don't have to do that, but
Well, I can see that on most resumes, or virtually every resume, people put that the LinkedIn profile or the LinkedIn address. Is it really necessary?
I think my answer to that is if it won't hurt, why not? Okay. So the world is a global village. Recruiters are very cautious of trying to know exactly who they are bringing on board. Okay. They want to see if this is somebody that will stay in the employee. They want to, they just want to have an idea of who you are and what, and they can only do that through your professional social networking, So you will see that some recruiters will visit your what's it called, LinkedIn page to grab a few things, glean a few information about you. So if you feel very comfortable with your LinkedIn profile, yeah, clean it up and then include it. By no means is it a requirement on your CV, on your resume. However, it may add to your what, to your proof. It will add to the proof of what you have said, especially if your experience is, again, international. And that's why on resume, I say don't put, not because I hate Nigeria, but I'm not going to put anything that is going to create bias for my resume. When I get to the interview and they say, hey, something, I tell them, okay, my previous employment at XYZ. And if they so care about knowing whether it is in Canada, of course, they will ask and say, hey, is this in Canada? And I'm just saying, oh, no, it's actually in Nigeria. And I'm going to say it very, very convincingly. That is the moment to be very convincing. Don't think of saying Nigeria and just saying it quietly. It's in Nigeria. No. So, see yourself as someone that has the experience. The truth is, many of the folks that will interview you don't have that experience. So why not? How will I put it? Flaunt it if you have it or something like that. Yes, flaunt it if you have it. So yeah, that would be it for me. It's not compulsory, but again, if it doesn't hurt to put it there.
Okay, sorry, a little digression, please. So that means, does it mean, okay, for the LinkedIn profile now, if I want to update it, I need to write down, do I need to be so detailed? Is the heading of the job I did, where I worked, like my previous places of employment, is it enough, or I have to still go in details and start explaining, like how you put it in on the CV?
No, you don't have to do that on your resume. I mean, on your LinkedIn profile. What you want to do on your LinkedIn profile is just a summary of the experience in that role, not detail. Just a summary of, I work at XYZ, responsible for 1, 2, 3, that kind of a thing. Not the day-to-day. On your resume, what you want to put is the day-to-day activities, like you perform these, you executed that, you developed these, you monitor that. Yes, that is hands-on experience. That's what your resume is all about. But on your LinkedIn profile, it is, I am XYZ and I have experience in doing this and that, okay? Not the detailed one. So you are not expected to list and bulletize it. You probably could put 2 or 3 points just to, provide a context of what your role is all about, during that period. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. In the absence of further question, I think it's an hour and 6 minutes. And then again, my name is Femi. Thank you for joining. And I hope that you are able to gain 1 or 2 things. Okay. Best wishes and bye for